Welcome and thanks for tuning in. My name is Christian Plaichner, Chief Customer Experience Officer at Tricentis, and today we want to talk about leading testing transformation into the new normal. And I'm very excited to have Naseer Mohammed from McKesson with us today. McKesson is one of the largest pharmaceutical and medical supply companies globally with more than 60,000 employees. So welcome, Naseer. How are you?
Thank you, Chris. Good morning. I'm doing great. How about you?
Things are going really well. Maybe we can start with you telling our listeners about your role and responsibilities at McKesson.
So I'm Naseer Mohammed. I have a 25 years of software experience, out of which 20 years I'm in a software QA. I joined McKesson back in 2004 as a software test automation architect. Overall, in the last 16 years, I have played into various roles. My current role with McKesson right now is a director for quality assurance. And also I have additional responsibility of for a supply chain applications. So I'm director for that one as well.
Excellent. So let's get right to it. One of the largest pharmaceutical distribution platforms globally, a very large SAP environment, Salesforce, and many other applications, and the move to the cloud. So you could argue, you name it, Naseer, you have to deal with it. I wanted to start and look back to the beginning of the year. Given the spike in the demand of COVID, what were your focus areas and how have they changed based on the pandemic?
Sure. So yeah, as we are aware, so this COVID situation is not expected. So since we are into a distribution industry, obviously we have to play a bigger role because of the COVID situation where we are put in. So the biggest area of concern for our customers is the product shortages and or any supply disruption. So to overcome this situation, the McKesson focus is to actually work with manufacturers and industry partners to respond unprecedented demand. So that's a primary focus area for us. But identifying these product shortages or disruptions and address them proactively through our supply continuity. So there's a series of steps that has been adopted by the business. So that's number one, by securing the additional products where available. That's number one. And number two, sourcing backup products. Now, coming through this one, so what it's for IT is basically IT has to readjust their delivery model to cope up this demand. So we don't have a luxury with the way the situation we have put in to deliver the projects at much relaxed pace that what we typically perform, right? So here the challenge is basically like we have to deliver faster, quicker, and at the same time we should not compromise on the quality that we put into production.
So absolutely makes total sense. And to add to this, right? I'm wondering, has this also changed project priorities? Because what you're saying, right? You have to be prepared for what's coming with, deploying and delivering all the components, all the pieces that are required. So question is, did you make hard cuts, so to speak, to say this is what we have to focus on? These are things that we delay based on the change of the overall environment that we are in at the moment.
Yes. So some of the project has taken the priority. Because of the situation, as I said. And obviously, if you know, McKesson is the one of the distributor is actually a primary distributor to deliver the vaccine if it gets ready by these manufacturers, right?
Wow.
So obviously, we have to get prepared for that one as well. And those kind of projects, which we have put in to deliver at a faster space. So obviously, so some of the challenges what I see is as I said, we are not in a situation where we can deploy the project in a much relaxed pace, but definitely with the help of some automation tools and processes put in place, we are able to catch up the demand.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I mean, talking about tools and processes and people, I know you use the Tricentis platform for testing. I'm sure there is a lot of other things going on in your world. What do you have in front of you at the moment, right? Is there things or other things that you also prioritize from a platform/technology perspective? I remember that we talked about you have SAP, you have this distribution platform. So other things where you say, this is the most important thing and these are the most relevant pieces that we have to be much faster delivering and providing the pieces that are required to get new code out because the changes are so significantly in the environment that we are in today.
Yeah. So majority of the work that happens at McKesson is on the SAP platform. Yeah. So it's not just one big platform, but at the same time, there are a lot of other platforms also associated to the main ERP. So as I said, like I'm director for supply chain planning. So if you take up one of my areas, so we have some areas like on the cloud and some areas are on-prem green screens. And SAP is the backbone where we have all the ERP application from end-to-end perspective. So the challenge is when it comes to testing, it's not only just one particular application, it has to be multiple application that needs to be tested. And also that when it goes through a integration pipeline, so we need to make sure like we have test that one as well. So yeah, it's so it's from end to end. So one of the challenge what we typically see is when we do testing, the seamless flow from point A to point B and coming back again to the point A in terms of the handshake that needs to happen. So that is very critical to make sure whatever we put a test that is successful from that perspective. So yeah, as Tricentis has stepped in and they have provided as a tools. One is a Tosca automation, obviously, which is a seamless automation, scriptless automation, where our team is leveraging that. That's number one. And number two, Tricentis has provided another tool for us. That's a change impact analysis, which is very huge, especially when it comes to the SAP testing. So typically what used to happen is like we used to test when there is a change moves into QA environment, we typically go ahead and test all the repository without much of a understanding where the change is in, right? So obviously you can proactively, you can say, okay, you can test only this subset based on the knowledge what the tester has. But there is no scientific way saying that, okay, you have to test only this particular test, right? So yeah, with the change impact analysis, so it is much easier now to make, so as it pointed out, only the subset which we need to test where the impact has happened and focus in that particular space. And so we can deploy our solution to production much faster and quicker way.
That makes sense, right? And I think that's one of the reasons why we drive into this direction, right? I think everybody's going AI and change impact analysis because it's just critical, right? Especially if I look at your platform and there's just the sheer size of code and the things that are changing every day. Now that makes clear difference. I was wondering, talking about the environment that you have in front of you, and you mentioned some is cloud, some is on-prem. Where is McKesson on the move to the cloud, or did you already make your mind up of which pieces we keep on-prem in-house, which pieces go into the cloud?
Yeah. So obviously, if you see in the last, I can say like over last 5-6 years, the cloud technology is emerging, right? And it is going to change as well. And all the industries, not only just McKesson, any other industries as well, it's moving more towards the cloud. Obviously, like for McKesson, so it's obviously the focus is to move towards the cloud. And if you see, like as I said, like we are onto SAP platform from an ERP perspective, and even SAP is making some effort into move into that particular direction. So to answer your question, so yeah, obviously it depends upon whom we are partnered with, especially from an ERP as well as the other application solution design solutions perspective. So yeah, so definitely we'll be moving toward cloud, and most of the there is a lot of effort going on at McKesson to move to cloud as well.
Got it. Makes absolutely sense. And one thing I want to go back a little bit. We talked about change impact analysis and how important that is, and using test automation as one of the pieces to be faster. Do you have an indication? Do you know how much is still manual testing versus how much is automated today?
Yeah, so I can say roughly 20% is automated and
Okay.
80% is a manual test. But our focus is after we introduced Tricentis, the focus is to change the other way. 80% we want to achieve automation and 20% we want to go back with a manual. That's a ratio we want to be in.
Makes sense. And that's also goal. And this is goal for already in 2021, or you think this is a longer journey for the next 3-4 years to get there?
Yeah. So definitely by end of third quarter of 2021, we want to target to achieve that goal.
Makes sense. Perfect. And talking about 2021, we talked about in the beginning, we talked about COVID and how it changed this year's plans. Question is, if you look ahead, what's in front of you for 2021? Are there specific priorities that you're pushing for, or you guess or you expect to get back to normal as whatever normal will be in 2021?
Yeah. So definitely whatever we have signed up in 2020, so that will move. We have to push some of those targets to 2021. So that is again, it comes back to the automation, what we have signed up for. So that's number one. And number two, so the whole idea of introducing automation is not to deliver much faster, but at the same time to catch defects much early and also in a most defined methodology. So that's the whole idea, right? So when you catch defect much faster in the game is only if you introduce your QA or testing or automation much early in the game, because today we are in more an agile format, any of the project that is getting delivered. So you have only a short window where you have to develop and you have to test and you have to deploy, right? So obviously if you're introducing your testing at a late in the game, so it's there's a quite one is you have a lot of challenges and to meet those timelines. That's number one. And number two, the quality of the outcome you may have to compromise in sometimes.
Yeah.
So what we have to do is, so we have to do a shift left and introduce this automation as well as some of the small aspects of the testing during the development phase itself, where the developers can use your automation and detect any defects early, or your business analyst do that one much ahead. So the code that when it comes to the QA, it's much defect free than what we have today. So that's the plan I want to tackle in 2021.
Makes absolute sense. One follow-up question on this is, how far along are you in your journey as a company to move quality much more left, getting much earlier integrated in the development process?
So one thing what we have done is, like, obviously with the purchase of the Tricentis tools, so we have hired a few resources who are technical architects from a automation architects, I mean to say. So yeah, so that's the one area we have covered, and we have trained our all QA folks, manual testers on Tricentis tools, so that they can start leveraging the automation during their manual testing process. That's number two. And number three, so we have put a processes and methodology in place as a framework. So that's the one we have put in so that people work towards it. And the last one, as I said, like shifting our automation much ahead in the game, that is shift left. So where we stand right now is we just started, I can say. But as I said, like the plan is by 2021, some second quarter or third quarter, we want to achieve that. But we are making very good progress on that. And we are with my colleagues on the Tricentis side. So we are pushing hard to achieve that goal.
Super, perfect. One more thing I was wondering. So, looking into 2021, what would be your advice for other quality leaders out there who are listening to us? What's the magic sauce for you and McKesson? What's the best advice you have for everybody out there?
Sure. So one thing I can think of is, so there is a lot of industry moving towards artificial intelligence and ML, right? So it is continuously growing, and obviously we as a quality assurance team has to adopt those features or capabilities of AI and ML into testing so that we can test more, faster, and do better job. So that's the one area I can think of. The other one is, so we need to have a good automation strategies, test strategies in place, and at the same time to catch up with the fast-paced agile development work. Without lack of automation continuous testing, it's impossible to detect bugs early in the game on the software that is getting developed. So I'll emphasize on two pieces. One is the automation. The other one is AI and ML to address any testing problems.
Makes total sense. Hey, Naseer, thank you very, very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Be safe, have a wonderful day, and take care.
Thank you. My pleasure.